And then you have the smaller class of Jamaicans, white collar, expats, et cetera, living on a much higher standard. And there's a huge gap in between the two.
Two-tiered society.
A very two-tiered society, unfortunately. And the higher tier, of course, are using the banks. They're willing to pay the fees. But even them, even that higher tier society, if they're not relying on an American bank, then the debit cards that you use in Jamaica cannot be used to buy anything on Amazon. You cannot use the Visa card to pay your Netflix bill. Those Visa cards and MasterCards do not work outside of Jamaican institutions and Jamaican banks. So we're cut off from the global e-commerce world. And the only way that they can get access to it, even the rich people, is to either have an American bank and have a debit card that you can use in America, or Bitcoin.
Dred, last time we were doing a podcast, we were the roles were reversed. You were interviewing me for your podcast. So
That's right.
I'm glad that we finally got you in here to do this.
It's my honor.
Yeah. I was thinking today, the first time that I met you, you rolled up to Garton Hotel. We were there. I can't remember who was there. I know Peter McCormick was there. I don't know, there was a big table of us, and I'd never met you, and you rolled in, and from across the room you shouted like, "Hey, are you guys Bitcoiners?" And this was before like there was really any Bitcoiners in El Salvador.
Yeah.
This was like very early days.
Yeah.
And so we all like looked at each other like,
I had no idea you guys were even going to be there.
you know who this guy is? What? But then you came and joined us, and beginning of a great friendship. So it's funny how it's funny how the Bitcoin world brings people together.
It really is. It felt like fate to me, and it was an amazing fish, by the way, as well. That was great.
Oh, that's right. We had one of those big giant fishes that night. Right?
Yeah.
I think Peter paid for that. That was. I'm trying to remember who else was there.
Oh man, a lot of people. There was a guy from I think Bloomberg. Was there.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I don't remember who else on the other side of the table.
Yeah, I remember because when you showed up, he was like, "This feels like this was staged or something." Like
Mark Moss was there.
That Mark was there that trip. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the reporter was like, "This feels like it was staged because you guys are just sitting here, and then some random person just shows up and says, 'Are you guys Bitcoiners?'"
Yeah, he did say it felt like it was staged. It was so natural. Like I only tweeted you maybe 2 days ago before, and I was like, "I'm coming down."
Like, I'm coming to El Salvador. It's like, but a lot of people would say that, and you never see from them. So and then you showed up. I was like, "Oh wow, I guess he meant like now he's coming."
I was on a mission.
Yeah. And that was that right after the law was announced?
Before.
Before.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is a good. The law wasn't even talked about before.
Ah, that's right. That was when. Okay, that was. Was Mahler still there then?
Mahler was at the table.
Okay, yeah.
Mahler and a couple people from his team were
That's
at the
right.
table.
So that was before like even anybody really knew what was going on. You were early
Strike
days.
was there. Yeah, I came down on my own mission. I had no idea that was happening. I was just like, I'm going to find out what you guys are doing, and I'm going to duplicate it where I'm coming from.
And how long did you stay that trip?
I think that trip was about 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I came back and stayed another week.
And was that during the conference, or when did you come back the next time?
I think it was during the conference the next time.
You spoke at the conference the first year, right?
Not the first year.
Not the first year, the second year.
Second year.
Okay.
Yeah. First year I was still just figuring stuff out. I was in full-on absorption mode because there was so much going on here, and I heard about it, when you guys first started, before there was even a Bitcoin beach wallet. And I kind of had it in the back of my mind like, oh yeah, they're doing something over there, but not much noise, just watching it. And then I saw the Peter McCormick interview about it down there. And that's when I was like, okay.
And that was early on. Yeah. That was like right when we first started.
Yeah. And I said, I have to get down there and see what's happening. Because I'm already, fully sold on doing something. Like my mind didn't know what it was, but I knew I had to work on something to make sure my part of the world got this too.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. You're like, we need a Bitcoin Beach Jamaica.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're one step closer.
So just for a little context, let people know your Bitcoin journey, how you came into the space, and how you wound up in El Salvador that night.
So I'm Dred, and I am a technology consultant by, fiat trade. I guess you can call it recovering technology consultant. And that kind of got me into the technology space in general, seeing what new technology was out there. I come from a family of engineers, so we're always looking at future technology and, what's making the world better, as corny as that sounds. And I got Bitcoin put across my desk the first time in 2013, 14, and I saw it and thought, okay, well, my friends are buying drugs with it. I don't really want to send money to Japan to figure out how to buy this stuff, so I'm going to pass. And then again, in 2017 was the touch where I was with a bunch of coworkers and we were all buying on Coinbase. And in the middle of the hash wars and you don't know what's going on, you're just trying to buy and hold. And then you make some profit and you're like, okay, well, what about all these other coins? So I had a little stint of shit coining. Sorry if the language.
No, that's the one swear word we allow on the...
And got wrecked, So from that point on, I said, I'm going to really not just, know what Bitcoin is, but dig deep as to why it was created in the first place. What use it has besides just making money, because obviously I'm not good at that. And that took me down the rabbit hole of learning about the freedom part. And everybody has their different parts of, there's this analogy of an elephant where if a blind man touches the elephant in different places, he'll think it's a completely different thing. The husk, the feet, the tongue, the skin. And to me, it was like, well, for me, I just saw freedom immediately. I saw a way to be able to let people that are currently, I hate using the word so bluntly, but it's true, enslaved to their job or enslaved by time, by the lack of time. I saw a way of freeing them. I was like, well, I can use this tool. So from that point forward, it became more of an educational journey for me than a money-making journey, and that changed everything. That's when I started looking at, ways that Bitcoin can help many different industries, ways that Bitcoin can enhance your knowledge in different sciences, different technologies, different game theory, psychology, you name it, And then from that point forward, it was like, all right, well, now that I've learned, who can I teach?
Were you because you were born in Jamaica, right? No.
I mean, all right. So
I don't want to give you... Sorry, I'm not trying to dox you, but yeah, sorry.
I am Jamaican, but technically I was born closer to where you're from.
Okay.
I was born in San Diego.
So were you seeing more potential for this, like in Jamaica versus... Because I believe you worked in the U.S., so I won't dox where, but any more than I already have. Did you see as more needed there, or you saw it kind of equal? Like, just curious. I've never been to Jamaica, so I don't know what the banking system's like there. I don't know what the financial system's like there.
Well, first we got to fix that. You got to come to Jamaica. We'll talk about that. Second, I saw it much more needed in Jamaica than in the U.S. Mainly because not just the banking system. Well, you know what? Yes, the banking system. I mean, sure, there's devaluation of the dollar. Sure, there's capital controls, but the banking system was the main thing for me because in Jamaica, our banking system is set up in such a way that there are no APIs that you can connect to the banks.
Oh, really?
At all. I mean, some other countries are very similar, but Jamaica, there's no fintech app. There's no Cash App. There's no Venmo. There's no PayPal. There's no moving money from one phone to the other. Or even if you want to use an account and move money from one to the other, you have to sign in. You have to do some verification. It's not usually very easy. If you are just a blue-collar worker, for example, you're not going to be able to pull out your phone and do this. You have to be home in front of a computer and probably getting help. And then...
So not a lot of like online bill pay type things. It's more still done in cash?
The online bill pay does exist now as of recently, maybe 5 or so years, but most people, because of habit, just pay in cash.
Yeah.
There's a place called Paymaster, and you'll see lines and lines of people just going in with their cash
The name
to pay
just
their
sounds
bills.
sinister.
The
Paymaster. The Paymaster.
The Paymaster, taking all your money for your bills. No, it's pretty much a monopoly that they have there. Like if you're going to pay your bills in any way, shape, or form, and you're not paying directly to the utility, you're going to go through Paymaster. So honestly, that's one of the vector points for
Yeah,
Bitcoin.
we need to get them taking Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, or at least some proxy there. But yeah, it's a cash dominant society mainly because the banks are bad. If you want to deposit your money in a bank, you're going to pay a fee to deposit your money, to open an account. Well, opening an account is one fee, but just depositing the money afterwards every time is a fee. Taking it out is a fee. Transferring it to somebody else, even on the same bank, is a fee. Keeping your money in the bank is a fee. Putting too much money in the bank changes your fee. So it's not a very clean system for the average low-income Jamaican who makes $300 a month. If they're taking $5 out of your money just to put it in, and then another $5 to take it out of the ATM, it's not practical for you.
Is 300, is that like a minimum wage?
Minimum wage.
Okay. How would you describe the economy there compared to like El Salvador? Would it be pretty similar, more developed, less developed?
In terms of, in terms of economy, I would say more developed, but in a bad way, because our cost of living is 10 times what it is in El Salvador.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like we have U.S. cost of living in Jamaica, but we're getting, like I said, $300 a month for minimum salary. The average income in Jamaica as of 2022 consensus is $3,500 a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So not much more than minimum wage is the average. And then you have the smaller class of Jamaicans, white collar, expats, et cetera, living on a much higher standard. And there's a huge gap in between the two.
Two-tiered society.
A very two-tiered society, unfortunately. And the higher tier, of course, are using the banks. They're willing to pay the fees. But even them, and this is why I say it's more needed in Jamaica than in the US, even that higher tier society, if they're not relying on an American bank, then the debit cards that you use in Jamaica cannot be used to buy anything on Amazon. You cannot use the Visa card to pay your Netflix bill. Those Visa cards and MasterCards do not work outside of Jamaican institutions and Jamaican banks. So we're cut off from the global e-commerce world. And the only way that they can get access to it, even the rich people, is to either have an American bank and have a debit card that you can use in America, or Bitcoin. So I think there's a vector that will hit the entire population of Jamaica, not just the poor, not just the unbanked, that we can use, that need is not in America yet.
That's interesting, because even to pay the places that won't accept Bitcoin directly, I guess Jamaicans could use Bitcoin to get one of the like prepaid debit cards that a lot of the companies are offering now.
Or Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can pay for your Amazon stuff just by getting a gift card, and all of a sudden now your Jamaican flash card or debit card, whatever it is going to give you instant access to American products, European products, anywhere around the world, where you couldn't do that today with your bank account. So I think there's something there. I'm not really sure how prevalent it will be, mainly because if you're in that class of people in Jamaica that have a debit card or even a credit card, you also probably have a friend in the US with an American bank account that you can barter with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when we first connected, you were like, hey, we need this in Jamaica. We need to see a Bitcoin beach, Jamaica. And you were determined you were going to be the one to drive that.
Yeah.
Is there a Bitcoin beach, Jamaica yet? Can we come visit?
No, not yet. Not yet. 2 weeks TM. No, I'm just kidding. Not 2 weeks. But I am still working on it. So making a circular economy is hard.
Really?
I don't know if you knew this, but it's been a journey just learning exactly how hard it is and all the initial prerequisites that are needed to even get it off the ground. You know, a lot of people might come to El Salvador and see Bitcoin Beach in Zonte and think, oh my God, this is amazing. All they did is just throw some Bitcoin in the sea and mix it up, and you had a circular economy with people accepting Bitcoin. But even if you have all the right ingredients, the thing I learned is that if you don't start out with an existing initiative in the community that is looking out for the people, that doesn't even care about Bitcoin, doesn't care about money in general, and is only focused on making the lives of the people in that community better, whether it's through, you know, getting them out of violent situations, whether it's increasing the education, increasing the employment, increasing the standard of living, increasing the morale. It's just the spiritual values that they have. If you don't have a existing and trusted community leader or community institution that's already there doing it, you're wasting your time. You're not going to get anywhere with Bitcoin. And I learned that the hard way. I went to a community, showed up, I'm here to fix everything with Bitcoin. And they laughed at me. They were like, bro, what are you doing? Like, first of all, we don't even know you. Sure, you're from Jamaica, but you're not from this community. And second, we don't really care. We've had people come down to this community with boatloads of dollars before, promising us the world. And every single time, what do you think happens? They take advantage of them and walk away with whatever resource they wanted and leave those people worse off than they were before. And that is the standard, right, from a community, is that when you come in there, you offer them something, they're never going to trust you, especially not with a technology that they don't understand. So
this magic money you can't see, but
but go ahead and give me your cash, and I promise it's on your phone. It's not going to work. So I realized I needed a community leader. I needed multiple community leaders to actually be doing something in the community that I can offer Bitcoin to them, and it's up to them to use it. So I've been on a mission from now on to not only increase my knowledge of Bitcoin and my technical capabilities to be able to assist that person, but also make sure that when they're ready, I also have all the resources that they could possibly need. You know, like the bubble is a great resource that they could use. The wallet I'm building is another great resource they can use. I'm also trying to form a small Bitcoin community, you know, via meetups, so that they have other people that are
because you definitely need people to support it. It can't
100%.
be a one person task.
Yeah. So I'm making the meetup now. I think we're on the 4th meetup right now in Kingston. And that's building up a little bit of the awareness, you know? And once these resources are there, a community leader that's interested now can say, okay, I see what El Salvador is doing. I'm caring about my people, and this could help them. And I see resources all around that I can use to make this happen. And I'm hoping that'll make it happen organically, as opposed to me trying to force it down anyone's throat.
No, I think that's definitely the right way to go about it. And like you're saying, it needs to be, Bitcoin needs to be a tool, but the goal needs to be improving people's lives. If the goal is just to get people using Bitcoin, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It needs to be seen that you actually care about the community, which obviously you do. But sometimes people think that, like you said, it's easy. Well, just throw some Bitcoins out there and, you know, it'll just automatically happen.
Yeah. And I tried that. You know, I went to places and gave them enough to do promotions. You know, if you pay with Bitcoin, you get this and you get that, and free pizza day. And it ended the same way every time, where it just kind of died off. And some of the owners of those businesses don't even accept Bitcoin anymore because, oh, it's a bear market. No one's going to spend Bitcoin, so we'll just stop accepting it. That shows me I didn't dig deep enough with that business to have them on the same mission I'm on. They're not trying to build anything long term. They were just looking for profit. Yeah.
So one of the things that you saw was just the need for tools that would work in Jamaica, because there was, you know, some of the wallets that existed out there were missing certain things that you guys needed. And I'm hoping I can push you to divulge, you know, your project that you have here.
I would love to. There was no wallets out there, first of all. Even if I guess you could call Binance and, you know, Coinbase, those were wallets, but you couldn't connect your Jamaican banks to them. Yeah. So there's really nothing they could use. So my whole goal, like to your point, I'm going to announce it on the show here, is to build a wallet for Jamaica and by extension for the Caribbean. The 13 islands officially and then 26 regions all around it. And that wallet's called Flash. And Flash...
I love that. I love that name. That's the flash you get when your lightning payment is gone.
Exactly. Went in a flash, your quick payment. I like to say that Flash is the first lightning wallet to actually steal lightning from the gods, but I think Zeus already took that, so I can't use that anymore. But Flash is a hybrid custody lightning wallet. I think this is the first of its kind. And what I've done is I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I've worked with the Galoy team to take a fork of their wallet, which is the Blink wallet, and I've rebranded it and then kind of ripped some of the guts out and put in some cool stuff in there. One of the cool things to make it a hybrid custody lightning wallet is it's a non-custodial lightning wallet on one of the two wallets in the app.
Okay, so when you say hybrid, you really just mean there's a custodial wallet and a non-custodial. Okay.
And a button you can flip between the two.
Back and forth.
Yeah. So
interesting.
That's my little secret sauce that, I guess
I know a lot of people who they're very non-custodial. They still usually have a custodial wallet as a backup for when that's not working. So they have those both in one.
So why have to have two apps on your phone? Just have one. Jamaica's going to leapfrog the people who are doing non-custodial and custodial, and the Jamaicans will have one app that does both. And I'm really excited because it's going to give them this opportunity now to not only have a non-custodial wallet that's accepting Bitcoin from anywhere around the world, but then they can always flip it into custodial that is going to be USD pegged so that they can keep a stable balance without having to worry about volatility.
And is that using the stable sat or using something else to do that?
So that's been still kind of, up in the air. I've been focused on using IBEX. And IBEX, as you know, is a Lightning service provider that is custodial, and they allow an off-ramp. And that's important to me because I can create off-ramp locations in Jamaica using their service. However, Galoy seems to be catching up on the technology front.
Does IBEX have a stable...
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Neither did I until I asked them, and they have a stable USD, a stable Mexican peso, a stable Guadalajara.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And is theirs work similar to the stable sat, or how does theirs? Do you know how theirs works?
So I'm not 100% sure, so I can't speak on the record how it works. But I know stable sats is perpetual swaps using an exchange, but IBEX is more them doing their own internal bookkeeping or stable.
So they're just basically like a dollar account in that thing.
They could be using Tether.
Okay.
So that's something I probably need to follow up to make sure I know exactly what stable coin or perpetual swap they're using and what exchange they're using it with. But IBEX is abstracting that away, and IBEX becomes the de facto guarantor for the USD, regardless of what happens on the stable side, as opposed to Galoy exposing you directly to the exchange, right? So I guess you can look at it as me.
Well, I think on the Galoy side, I think that if there ever was anything, they would back that, obviously to the degree that they're able to. But from my understanding, the way it's set up, it's pretty low risk. But
and I'm interested because now they're starting to offer an off-ramp. And the only reason I didn't use stable sats is because they had no off-ramp.
Yeah, well, they just made that announcement, I think, the conference was last weekend.
I have my slides still saying IBEX. I didn't know. So, that's why I said it's up in the air. We'll see.
So, speaking of slides, I heard Andy saying that he had the deck. Can I push you to let us run through the deck? Because that's how I learn. So, I would love to be able to.
I'd be down for that. Yeah. Let's give you guys a quick run through of what I'm building here. So, you can skip the acknowledgements. We already talked about that. You can skip who I am.
Shadowy super coder.
I'm the shadowy super. Well, if you go back, you see I crossed out the super.
Just the coder.
I am not. You've seen some really cool coders come through here. I'm not those guys. I'm definitely not.
And tell Elizabeth Warren that we found the shadowy supercoder.
But the Caribbean is something that is not understood very well across the world. So I like to spend a little time here and talk about what the Caribbean is. Right? We are an archipelago of islands that cuts across from North America down to Central South America. We separate the North Atlantic Ocean from El Salvador, actually, and from this whole little strip. And that's important because it ends up creating trade routes all around the world. So it's a pretty important piece of land. But because of that, people have come from all over the world to settle there, whether it's through slave trade, colonization, just natural migration. And there are 6 different languages spoken officially across the Caribbean, but over 20 native creoles, patois, different dialects. The cultures are just amazing. It's like a blend of people that come together, but they're related in terms of the Caribbeanness of them. You know, we have a lot of carnival-like John canoes and music that are very similar and very rich. And that's something that I don't want to be, separated over time. That's something that we keep together. But unfortunately, we're not always able to do it because we're not just separated by water, we're also separated by a lot of jurisdictional blocking of communication, of money transfer, of just even going places. Like if I wanted to go to Florida right now from Jamaica, it's easier than to go to Haiti, which is 90 miles away, which is a simple boat ride. It's easier to go to Mexico than it is to go to Cuba, which is right beside Jamaica. Why can't I go to Cuba? Why does it matter what macro whatever is going on that I can't just see my friend in Cuba? So that's a problem. But despite them keeping us apart like that, we have one thing that overpowers that once or twice a year and lets everybody come together. And you can skip to the next slide. That's Carnival. And for people on the podcast, I'm showing flags from all over the country, all over the islands, which are multiple colored flags, and then a carnival costume. If you've ever seen one before, it's this beautiful costume with flowers and jewelry and bedazzling, and women dress up in it and dance, and men dance in shorts, and it's just a big celebration of life. It happens usually after crop over, if you follow agricultural cycles, and that's when we're celebrating the fact that we're able to reap, enjoy our lives, have food, be able to last the summer. And every single Caribbean nation, even not just islands, but Belize, Guyana, they celebrate this too. And so this is a Caribbean thing, I like to say, is where we kind of coalesce on culture.
So is Carnival different there than it would be in Brazil?
Only because it has a Caribbean flavor,
okay.
But same thing. Brazil is almost like the granddaddy of Carnival, right? So yeah, that's much more official. Ours is more like free, Wild West. Think of it more like a Burning Man, but with, just a lot of colors and more, I guess, Burning Man's in the middle of the desert, so this is much more tropical. Yeah. But
so you said it brings everybody together. I'm assuming that means just in that people have a similar celebration, not that the travel restrictions are dropped or anything like that. Or are they?
Well, travel restrictions, I guess, was something more new, but the Carnival's been going on for, decades and decades, and it would be in one place. Like Trinidad and Tobago, for example, is the mecca of most of the Caribbean carnivals, and every year, everyone from every island would go to Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. And we'd all be in the street together, just hanging out, having fun, celebrating life. It's, trucks go down the street and have music, and everyone's dancing and meeting people, and it's just this energy that you really have to experience to realize that you are in a special place. You're like, you could be dancing and there's 4 different people around you that speaking different languages that are from different places, and they're all hanging out together. And that's
that one time a year, everybody's friends, everybody can just get along. And yeah.
Whatever other rivalries you have, doesn't matter. And new families are formed there. There's a thing called Carnival Baby, where you might come from half Guadalupe, half Puerto Rican, and it's because you were born in a carnival or incepted in a carnival. So I love that. So you can go to the next slide. I like to try and figure out, what do these Caribbean people think about money? What are the problems that we have? And the problems that we have end up being that, we talked about it earlier, cash is king and everything else is kind of off to the side. And that's only because it's forced to be that way. So you can skip to the next slide again. Many of our communities are cash only mainly because they have to be. If you are in a place called Long Bay, Jamaica, and it's one of my favorite places. But it's the place that I went to, and they told me, you can't just bring Bitcoin here. But that little town of about 1,000 people is cash only. There's no ATM in the entire town. You can maybe go up the street to a hotel, and that hotel might have an ATM there. But apart from that, you'd have to drive an hour into the main city to get to an ATM. And because of that, even the stores there, they don't have point of sale machines. They either want you to have cash on you, or you got to go somewhere to get cash. And that's a very common thing across many communities. So there's almost a mini circular economy happening already, where you might get paid as a worker, and then you're using your cash to pay a supplier, and then that supplier is using their cash or to pay a market, I guess. And then that market is paying cash to the supplier, and it's only when the supplier goes back into town is when that money goes back into a bank. So I feel like if we can cut that off and make this whole thing a full circle, it's already there. And I was all excited, yeah, let's do it. No. You need to have community leaders first that are caring about the people. But cash is king. And because of that, you can go to the next slide. I don't know if you can show this on the, but on the podcast, I'm going to tell you that there's a strong distrust in the banking system. And it's mainly because, I'll cut to the chase, the banking system stole $2.1 million from Usain Bolt. And this is only one microcosm of what's been happening in Jamaican banking system.
What's Usain Bolt?
Usain Bolt is the fastest sprinter in the world. He has the world record in the 100 meter.
It's a person, not a thing.
Yeah, it's a person. Like if there's two people that are important in Jamaica right now in terms of legend, it's Bob Marley and Usain Bolt.
Okay.
And Usain Bolt has broken the 100 meter record, the 200 meter record, the 4x100 meter record. And I think those are the only 3 owns right now. And then many other records that are not world records.
Were you a sprinter too, or just a pole vaulter?
Just pole vaulter. I was never that good. Yeah. I would never say I'm a sprinter, considering the world record holder is the same country.
So how did they steal 2.1 million from him?
He had his money in an investment institution, financial institution in Jamaica called SSL. This is public record, so I can always talk about it now. And they siphoned money from his account. And when the bank wasn't hacked, nobody got his passwords, there was no social engineering here. The bank themselves siphoned money from his account and hid it from him. And it was only when he had a second person check his account, it was empty. It wasn't less, it wasn't, half. They emptied the account, assuming that he's probably never going to check it, or not going to check it for a long time, and they might have a time to bring it back in after they've made whatever profit they're making off it. Or I don't know the details, but I do know that he wasn't the only person that this happened to, because once he blew the whistle and filed a lawsuit and discovery started, they realized there were dozens and dozens of people from that bank that were also being siphoned from. They had a fall lady, some manager from SSL that, admitted it on paper that she did it. But it's hard to believe that dozens and dozens of people can be swindled of their money from a bank and nobody knows. So Jamaican people, of course, are not going to, this is an ongoing case, so I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you what actually happened. But I can tell you that...
But the money is still gone.
Gone.
He hasn't been...
He's in court. That's
a lot of money.
That's the current state of the financial institutions in Jamaica right now. So people don't trust them. That's kind of the point of the story here, that even if you do have a bank account, even if you do want to be subjected to these high fees and no simple APIs to use, you still can't trust they're going to keep your money in the bank, because they have a history of doing this to people already. So I think it's ripe for change. Unfortunately, you can go to the next slide. The Jamaican people also have a bit of a struggle with technology. And
like us right now.
And this might, it's one of those things where, people love their phones. Everybody in Jamaica has a mobile phone, like 110% immersion. Some people have 2 phones just because, one's cool, one's whatever. They love WhatsApp. They love the simple apps. But you bring something a little bit harder in terms of technology to Jamaica, and it's going to have a hard time adopting, mainly because we're not inherently a technology culture, right? A lot of things are still done with paper and pencil. We're used to the banks and everything, banks, lawyers, anything you have to do that's almost in an official capacity or government capacities, there's a lot of paper and pencil involved, right? Taxes, you name it. I mean, all that stuff is just now starting to become digitized, and it's still early in days. So the average Jamaican is going to look at something new in terms of technology, and if it's not familiar, they're probably not going to try and adopt it. So it's hard. And the one thing that I realize is that...
Does that include the younger people? Would you say it's across the board, or is it...
I would say it's across the board.
Okay.
Yeah. There, of course, we're talking about a separation here too, right? There's the lower class and the upper class of younger people probably would adopt the technology quicker. The lower class probably not so much. So it has to be easy. Regardless of what the technology is that we're introducing to them, it has to be easy. They have to be able to look at it.
Something I could use.
Or me. Or something we can all just use without a manual.
Yeah.
You know? So you can skip to the next slide. So this is where I introduced Flash in the presentation. It was just an answer to all of these problems that Jamaica has, where it's cash only, where we don't like banks, where we need something that's easy to use. And Flash, I don't know if you've known the recent upgrade to Blink. You don't really need to even put in your phone number or email address.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's limited, of course, in terms of how much you can spend on it. But you can literally download the app, click start, and you have a Lightning wallet. No KYC.
So the risk would be, though, if you lose your phone or something like that, you can't recover it.
And there's
so
a pop-up
it's kind of
risk.
how Wallet of Satoshi is. You can start using Wallet of Satoshi without doing any backup also.
I think that was the model that Galoy went off of. And then once you start putting in enough money, I think it's over $100, then it's like, okay, you probably want to put in your phone number or email address to back up your funds. And that also provides a little bit of a KYC enough to raise your limit now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be creating also a business account on Flash that allows business owners to raise their limit even more, give me their bank account information, and then I'm going to be their exchange, I guess, where if they need to, whatever Bitcoin they collected for their services cash out, I put it in their bank for them.
You'll offer buy, sell within the wallet. They can...
In the MVP of the wallet, I'm only offering sell.
Okay.
So if you're a business and you're collecting Bitcoin, you can sell it to me and you will get cash in your bank account.
Okay.
Like same day, because it's final settlement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's huge in terms of all the remittance companies I've spoken to. They're like, well, if you can get me same day return on all of my, like, for example, a remittance company, I'm giving you all the alpha right now. A remittance company is in Jamaica, and they go ahead and do $500,000 of remittances for the day. They have to wait 48 hours, 24 at least, for Western Union to reimburse them that. That is 24 hours of money that's not in their bank account earning interest. Just that one day alone of me saying, yeah, go ahead and give me all that Bitcoin, immediately you get that back in your bank account before end of day. They're now getting a whole day's worth of interest they didn't have before. I didn't even realize that was...
Well, not just that, also the peace of mind, because anytime you don't have that, or just your own liquidity needs that you have at that time.
The next day you might not have enough to... Yeah, so now every day they're going to have a fresh start with the same cash they can, provide to the people there. So I think that we have a model that'll work more than just saying we're lower Western Union fees. No, I think we're also helping the businesses be more efficient, which hopefully that'll allow them to lower their costs as well. So you can keep going forward on Flash. Let's run through this. I love this logo, by the way. You can, this is like... that
is sweet.
Yeah, the same designer that did the Amber wallet helped me with this as well. So a shout out to her. But my main goal was to say that this is not just another Lightning wallet. There's tons of Lightning wallets out there. I could have just used Blink in Jamaica, honestly. Yeah. But I wanted to make sure that we had something that we could say was built in the Caribbean by Caribbeans and for us. And that's kind of important. Like I said, we want that culture to remain together. So you can skip to the next one. That's just me saying YAML is like yet another Lightning wallet, boring. But it's not, and you can skip forward. And this one is specifically geared towards remittance. Like my entire goal, Flash, is not just a Lightning Wallet company. It is an off-ramp company. I'm making sure that the majority of the work I'm going to be doing going forward is going to be in Jamaica, onboarding all the businesses I can onboard, not just in a community, but across the whole island. So anyone in Jamaica that wants to get remittance and get cash out can find a place to do so.
And I think, and this is something that I go round and round with Bitcoiners on, because they're like, well, why would you need an off-ramp? They should just stay in Bitcoin. And
I get it all the time.
They have to see that the more off-ramps that are available, the more likely people are to accept Bitcoin and the more likely they are to actually keep it in Bitcoin. Because if they know at any time they can use it however they want, they'll prefer to keep it in Bitcoin. But if they're like scared, like, oh, I won't be able to change it, they're going to change it to fiat right away. So the more on and off ramps we have, the better circular Bitcoin economies work.
You hit the nail on the head. Like, and to me, it's like off ramps first, and then on ramps right closely behind it. But if you can just get them to realize that, to your point, it's the same thing, and I can change it in the blink of an eye or in a flash, then everything else flows downstream from that.
No, because that's what makes it real for them. If they don't have that option, they're like, well, this isn't real money. And so over time, they start to realize, oh, actually, this is the real money. That's not real money, but it's a process.
Yeah, that's not going to happen on day one.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to. And I'm hoping that from that point forward, I can kind of let the ingenuity happen, let the business owners that realize it's real money, they take the initiative now to build it out and to make.
Then their employees start wanting to be paid in Bitcoin, and they have,
You got it. I mean, I'm talking to the
no, I mean, that's how we've seen it happen. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in like a process, and the process tends to happen quicker in an up market. So I think your timing is good on this.
That's the goal too. So I'm kind of going live now with it, like talking about it on podcasts, because I feel like, if I get it in their hands and people start, there's like a critical mass of people that have it when the bull market happens, it might actually move the needle.
Yeah, it moves the needle, and then what you'll find is in the bear market, it becomes a little tougher, but then that's when they realize, oh, it's not just number go up, it's all these other benefits too.
Yeah.
So these statistics here, the 25 billion, and that's in remittances. Is that for all of the Caribbean?
All the Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah. In Jamaica alone is 3.4 billion annually. And this is just inflow.
How many people are in Jamaica?
It's been going down now, so I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it's 1.9 million.
So it's not, the population isn't that big.
I feel like I need to look this up now.
You should know how many people live in your own country, or at least an approximate.
It's either 1.9 or 2.9. I'm going to look it up now.
So that would be like a third of El Salvador. So that's a lot of remittances for if it's only 1 point. Well, even at 2.9, that's still.
That number sounds low. It's, it's 2.9.
2.9. Right. So it's like half the population of El Salvador.
Yep. It is. And then we probably have another million around the world.
Yeah.
That, send. And then the remittance part, this is why I focus on it as well. The average amount sent is about $250, which is like the peak rate of what Western Union charges. Yeah, those guys are terrible. And then similar to El Salvador, our GDP is a big portion in remittance. Like we have plus 20% of during COVID, it probably skyrocketed 23% of the GDP. So we're heavily dependent on this money coming in. And where does the money come in from? Well, there's 5 major regions the money comes in from. The most one is the USA. And the USA has a lot of good institutions and rails for Bitcoin. Second is Canada. Third is the UK. Fourth is the Cayman Islands. And then fifth, weird enough, is Turks and Caicos. Don't know why, but a lot of remittance come from those places into Jamaica and the Caribbean at large. So the fact that the 3 big, I'm not sure about the UK anymore in terms of the Bitcoin laws there, but the UK and Canada, the US and Canada have a good amount of immersion in Bitcoin and apps that I can easily say, if you have friends and family in the UK, I keep on saying the UK. I don't know why I'm stuck on that. The US and Canada. If you have friends and family in the US and Canada, they can send you money from any Bitcoin wallet that they have and then that they can get. And it'll
So
come,
even like Cash App, which is there's probably
Yep.
a lot of people from the Jamaican community are using Cash App, and so that's
100%.
an easy one that they can.
I
Just,
say Cash App all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my go-to. And then I might say, like any other wallet you want as well. But to me, because Cash App is targeting the demographics that are usually sending money home, then it's such an easy sell.
Yeah.
Because the people would be like, oh yeah, I already have it on my phone. I don't really have to do anything else but click that button, and then you get cash easier than Western Union. So that being said, that's the main goal. If you skip forward, there's a this is what I was talking about in terms of off ramps that I'm building, and you can skip this too. So what?
So
right?
what your last one there though was profit. What's the how is this going to be sustainable?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Of course, I'm going to be collecting fees, similar to the Galois model. I'm going to put in a fee to make sure that I can maintain and grow the product. But this isn't the end goal. This is probably going to be a loss leader in the long run, because not only does Jamaica need off-ramp tools, it needs an exchange itself. Like, we need to be able to have something that Jamaicans can buy and sell Bitcoin on.
Is there no exchange in Jamaica?
There's zero exchanges in Jamaica. Not even crypto exchanges exist in Jamaica. If you don't have either a U.S. card or an international international credit card that is going to cost the average Jamaican 40% or more for your credit card, you're not going to buy Bitcoin or crypto anywhere. And they use all these roundabout ways, right? You'll have a way you can deposit some money in some random neobank that'll take your wire transfer, and then they'll buy the Bitcoin for you. Very roundabout, very
expensive, I'm assuming.
Very expensive. You're paying fees all the way around. But there's no direct exchanges in Jamaica to buy Bitcoin. So that's one of the goals. The goal is to make an exchange that people can actually buy and sell Bitcoin cheaply, easily, using their local debit cards, local credit cards, or cash. And one of the main places I started, even before I came to see Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, I opened up 2 locations for Azteco, and I was selling Bitcoin in Jamaica. Yeah, I had a business in Jamaica that I was running in Kingston, and then one of the stores in Portland that I orange pilled, they accepted the point of sale machine for me to be an Azteco vendor there as well. And only one of those are still running in Jamaica, but the goal is to give people access like that. So whether it's them paying in cash with Azteco or with their bank account with the exchange, the goal is to make something that not just Jamaica, but the Caribbean can use to kind of buy and sell Bitcoin. So this is the beginning of hopefully a long and fruitful journey that ends in a circular economy with a community leader that cares about their people and has all the tools to build the future. So that's the profit. The profit is not the money. The profit is a better Jamaica that I can see my family living in.
Yeah, well, I love it.
Yeah. So we'll skip to the so what. And this is kind of where the presentation takes a little futuristic turn, because I like talking about this stuff. I'm a tech guy, right? The average Jamaican, even if they know about Bitcoin, is not going to stop using cash. Because like I said, they've been using cash as...
People are creatures of habit. It has to be much better or much easier, or they'll still, if it's just marginally better, they prefer to use the route they know. All day.
So a lot of people say it has to be 10x better, right? Like, they have to see a ridiculous amount of reason to use it for them to even stop using cash, even if cash isn't good. But in Jamaica, cash is good. It's safe, right? No one knows you have it unless you show it. There's no fees to send cash around. So we have to do 10x better than that for them to adopt a wallet in Jamaica. So you can skip to the next one. Everybody knows what cash is. Private, no fees, non-custodial, easy to use. Anyone can use cash. It's dangerous, though. You have a wad of cash in your pocket. You're walking home from the store. You walk into the bill pay. You can get robbed, right, if people are targeting you. There's no backups or insurance for cash. There's no FDIC insurance for the cash in your pocket. It's in person only as well. You can't use cash and buy anything on Amazon. And it's one-to-one payments. And this is kind of where the 10x comes into play. The one-to-one payments for cash. And similar with debit cards. Like, if you're paying a bill, you can't swipe your credit card once and pay 10 people. That just doesn't exist. It never has existed for cash or debit cards. So that's something that we play with. So if you go to the next slide, we need to be 10x better. And therefore, so, if cash is just airplanes, we need a rocket ship, which is Bitcoin. Cool demonstration there. That's what the slide says, by the way, people on the podcast. And then if you go to the next one, how do we do it? Go to the next one. We're using a full stack. So this is kind of where all of the technology that I've been just around for the last several years, I'm using it to build on the shoulders of giants, as I like to say, and build on the Bitcoin stack, the Lightning stack, and the Nostr stack. And the Nostr part is the important part because that's the social layer that allows us to do a lot of things that Lightning alone can't do. I consider it to be supercharging Lightning. How? All right, skip to the next one. There's something you can do with Nostr and Lightning that you couldn't do with Lightning alone. It's called prisms or split payments. I think it's coming to the protocol level now in terms of
So how does that
Lightning.
work?
Yeah, so it's one-to-many payments. Everything else we talked about before, cash and Flash will have at the same time. It'll be private, no fees, non-custodial, easy to use, and unlike cash, unlike cash, it'll be safe. It will have backups, and it'll be global. You can buy on Amazon. The 10x key is that it'll be one-to-many payments. How does that work? If you're in your Flash wallet and you have 4 bills that you want to pay, you might just be paying Paymaster, but if you're not, you can set up all 4 payments if they're accepting Lightning, and with Nostr Wallet Connect, you can click the button once and zap all 4 payments at one time with one transaction. And that makes it a lot easier to do many things. Like there's
like companies doing payroll,
or companies accepting a payment. And this is kind of where it gets futuristic. Companies accepting a payment, and as soon as they accept the payment, it immediately splits out to all of the revenue shareholders for whatever product that's selling. That's a whole different way of doing payroll, right? You never have to have a payroll day because your employee, as they're working, is just seeing the stats stream in as the products are sold. And I think this opens us up to a different future of what Bitcoin companies could be doing with their balance sheets because they have products like this that allow them to just have the money flowing freely between, and this goes back down to the shop owner, right? Not just big companies. Like you're a shop owner and you have your, family in the back, and every time you get something sold, your son gets his stipend, your daughter gets her stipend, you have a certain part that goes towards the bills you need to pay, and it just all kind of flows smoother, in my opinion. And then you can go to the next slide. It's also social, like who knows what people are going to start doing with each other once they realize that they can pay all their fans or they can collect from all their fans in this kind of way. I think there's a social layer there that connects the Caribbean now that didn't connect them before. And I bring it all home by saying, imagine a Nostr chat where there are people talking about the carnival from all over the Caribbean, and then they're able to like each other's carnival costumes, pay for each other's carnival things in a social way that's never been done before. Not one-on-one, but one-to-many. Like, oh, I like that costume over there. Whoever did that, I'm going to go ahead and zap that thing, and it's gonna pay everybody that just worked on that project. That's the kind of economy connecting we're doing here just by giving them the tools to do so. So I think that's a 10x improvement in how you use money. And if people start using it that way, I think that'll drag them away from the cash in their pockets because they're seeing something that can enrich their lives.
Opens up all these new opportunities to them. So I'm assuming that a lot of these functions are coming in the future, that when you release this, a lot of this stuff will not be operational.
Correct. So, yeah, I'm giving you all the futuristic stuff. The minimum viable product is the Lightning wallet that works, send, receive, cash out.
But from the beginning, you're going to have the custodial and non-custodial options.
Correct. In the beginning, we're using the Breeze SDK for non-custodial and either IBEX or Galloy for the custodial, which will be US dollar pegged.
Okay.
And then we're going to have the Nostr chat from the beginning as well, where anybody you buy or sell from or send or receive, you'll automatically be able to talk to them as well in a chat. And it's cool because if you know the map that shows you all the different vendors that are selling or accepting Bitcoin, those vendors are also going to have an account. So if you had a vendor you wanted to check out, you could message them in the app first and say, hey, what time are you guys open? Or, do you have whatever in stock? And you can pay them right there if you want to prepay, and they deliver it to you. It's just a whole new way
Integrated.
of communicating with businesses now in your app that you're going to pay them with. So I'm kind of excited about that part.
I love how you're taking all these existing things. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's how Bitcoin came together. It was taking, these other things or concepts that existed apart from each other and bringing them together in a way that made it the magic money it is. So
and I got to say, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome doing this because, some brilliant minds built each and every one of these tools, right? The Galloy stack, the Breeze SDK stack, the Ibex stack, the Nostr protocol. And I'm bringing it all together. I didn't build anything myself, but then I realized, but wait, I did build something myself, because there's a plugin that has to be used to be able to connect Breeze and connect Ibex to the Blink wallet. And that plugin, I realized, is something that can be abstracted away. So any developer can go ahead now and take my plugin and connect.
So it'll be open source.
Oh yeah, 100%. Everything I do is open source. So anybody can take my plugin now and connect Strike to it instead, or connect Wallet doesn't have an API. I think Pouch from Asia or whatever region they're in now.
Yeah.
They can connect their local on-off ramp to put a wallet inside of the Galloy stack. And that's something that I'm kind of proud of now, because I didn't realize I was building something people could use until I was like halfway through it, and I was like, shit, this is usable. Like I can get people to have options wherever they are.
Well, and even on the other, I do think that people who have the vision to bring existing, I mean, that's how we innovate, is by building on other innovations. So just seeing how you can bring all these things together to make a much better product, those are oftentimes the products that revolutionize something more than the individual components. So
yeah, fingers crossed. I'm hoping that's what this becomes. I love the name. I'm hoping that I can get Usain Bolt on board. So Usain Bolt, if you're listening, we have a wallet here I'd love you to try and see if you can get some self-custody going on in your life.
He obviously needs it.
No comment.
No, but it's the people who have been burned by the banks that, I mean, they're the ones that are going to understand why this is so crucial. We did a podcast earlier today with Carlinho, guy from, do you know Carlinho?
Of course.
Yeah. And he was talking about how his family was, business was put on the OFAC list when, and they lost everything over some mistake by the U.S. government. And so because of that, he sees the importance of Bitcoin. So it really is the people who have been burned by the existing system that kind of get this. So definitely,
because they have no choice to. Yeah. So I feel like if I had a conversation with Usain, he would get it. I think he's in the middle of a lawsuit right now, so he probably is not ready.
Well, hopefully he hears about it.
Yeah.
Are you raising? Are you bringing on investors? Or are you just bootstrapping this? Or what's...
Yeah, so that's been a good question I've been asked multiple times over the past 4 months now. We're still at the end of the bootstrap phase. I'm trying to push into beta next, what are we in, November? This month. I'm trying to push into beta so that we can have metrics and, I can feel like there's a product out there. And then the raise will start. I've been putting out feelers so far, but as of right now, I want to make sure that this product is standing on its own 2 legs, so that when people are thinking about investing, they can actually see something in their hands that they're investing in. So yeah.
Well, it probably doesn't hurt to wait, till we get a little closer to the halving and people people get out of this like just survive mode. That seems to be the sentiment lately, is everybody's just hunkered down. But I think, as we see the price start to move again and all this new innovation come into the market, that we'll see a resurgence.
It's a double-edged sword though, right? Because then when the bull starts happening, you're going to have a lot of investors that are throwing their money everywhere. And I'm trying to be very selective. Yeah. Like this is a very important project to me. These are my people. So I want to make sure that I have people on board that are aligned with my vision and are ground up building circular economies as opposed to trying to, in it for the tech or make some money or something. So
they're like, hey, this sounds great, but what you need to do is roll out a token.
Yeah,
and we're gonna...
yeah, and put 3 different stable coins in there. It got to be people first.
Yeah. Well, how can people follow you?
You can go to the last slide if it's on the screen. And I should talk about this before.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the next slide. The Built for Freedom is pretty important to me. This is like my mission statement. And I made it my company mission statement too. I'm freeing the money, which we already know is Bitcoin. I'm also freeing the market, which is allowing people to do free market, peer-to-peer trade with each other. That's like, in my opinion, that's like the real Trojan horse, because the market is so captured by companies like Grace Kennedy and these big companies that just force you to go into their supermarkets and their wholesale stores and buy everything instead of going to mom and pop shops. So free the market on the internet and digitally. And then lastly, free the code. Everything I'm doing is open source. Everything I'm using is open source. And I want to make sure that as people build, they realize that you can build a successful product using all open source tools. So that's important to me. And that being said, the last slide is where you can reach me. I am on Nostr at dred@islandbitcoin.com. My email is also dred@islandbitcoin.com if you want to talk to me. And I'm pretty much on GitHub as well, coding. So if you have a question for me, you just submit an issue. And where else can you find me? I guess
Twitter?
Twitter, not so much anymore.
Not so much? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I barely check messages there. And they've stopped me from being able to respond to messages now. Did you know that? Like,
no,
if you're not verified, you can't send a message anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't say Twitter anymore. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't say Twitter anymore. It's amazing that they've kind of clamped down so quickly.
That's disappointing.
But honestly, if you want to find me, come to El Salvador. Like I'm coming down here every other month now. So, come to El Salvador and have a pupusa and look for Dred.
Awesome. So if there are people that are interested in potentially investing, they just reach out to you directly. That's the best.
Reach out to me directly.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a conversation. You'll be super early stage, which is probably where you want to be, and let's talk about how we can get the Caribbean connected.
So I'm assuming that I'm not going to be able to use this wallet because I have a blue passport, and I know that is. Have you thought through that yet? Are you going to exclude us Americans, or?
TBD.
Okay.
Because I am working with IBEX, that allows me to be able to have Americans as customers as well. It just depends because that comes with a whole another set of additional, reporting requirements, and you probably already know all of this.
Yeah, no, all too well. Hopefully I'll have my Salvadoran passport by then, and
So MVP is going to be non-US customers, but that stretches to El Salvador, as you know. Like I'm trying to make sure that I work with companies that can cover the entire Caribbean and the coastal Panama, El Salvador, all the way down.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to use Flash, I think you'll be able to, as long as you're here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, it's so good getting to catch up with you.
Always,
it's fun watching you on this journey from that first rolling in hey, are you Bitcoiners? Then all the conversations we've had over the years, and now seeing you innovate like this and build these products that I think are going to revolutionize things in the Caribbean. So
I appreciate
congrats to you, man. I'm super proud of you. And
you're probably like, when is he going to do it? It's been so long now.
No, trust me. I understand these things are. Yeah. I'm always impressed actually how quickly stuff moves in this space because it's not easy. You guys are breaking new ground and building new things. So everybody, make sure you're watching for Flash, and we'll have to have you back on next year after it's rolled out. An update. So
see the launch. So, we'll talk about it then.
Well, maybe you'll be living here, so maybe I'll see more of you.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
All right, brother. Well, I'll let you get back to the activities here that are happening during Bitcoin Week. And
it's been an amazing week. People need to come down and see the energy that's happening here. So I'm gonna
so much just positivity. People are optimistic and looking forward to the future. Everywhere else you go in the world, people are like doomsday. Here it's we're in the center of the future here.
We call this carnival energy. That positive we're in the center, we feel each other happy. That's
Yeah.
carnival energy.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I like it.
You got it down here.